Rainbow, darn it. Welcome to the third annual Poetry at JUC service. Our poetry group meets twice a month, and we give each other very gentle feedback about our poems. And usually we write using a prompt, so we come up with some kind of a word or a phrase that might work for us. And it's so interesting what people come up with the same topic, which you're going to find out this morning. Reverend Wendy supplied transformation as our topic for this time, and we've been working on it for a couple of months. So we're pleased to share our poems based on her suggestion. These poems range from sweet to sad to silly. And I'd like to thank Dr. Baker for his suggestion, which was to come up with a little booklet so you all have a copy of the poems if you'd like to. Our first contributor is Kim Stevens. She's going to read you a very creative poem about dinosaurs.
So I need to say first, because I'm not sure if it's really common knowledge, but it turns out that in the scientific community, it's pretty well established that birds evolved from dinosaurs. I mean, that's bizarre. And so it's intriguing to me, and it led me to write this poem. Dinosaur Dreams. In dreams, I leave this lumbering life, this body heavy and cold, impossibly immense, this long, weary neck, massive back, dragging tail, these leaden limbs trampling everything tender. In the strangest of dreams, I evolve to rise above this burdensome weight. I am strangely small, downy, even delicate, quivering with warmth. I sail the slender edge of imagination and balance easily on the breeze. In welcome dreams, I sleep, while millions of mornings pass. A fragile branch of my avian tree adapts, barely eluding the evolutionary nightmare of extinction. At last, transformed, I awaken. My dreams instantly as distant as the faded age of dinosaurs. Arriving alert and alive into this radiant sunlit day, I stretch my startled sleepy wings, shake myself with a brisk flutter of feathers, and now, graceful and light, I fly.
Well, I'm so grateful that we have an opportunity to share our poems with you. And Linda's a wonderful leader and gives us prompts. And here we are with transformation. And as a retired biology teacher, I wrote about a biologist's wisdom. Mutating, worry, fear, anger, into peace, love, joy. Doing it now. Doing it daily. My highest priority, always.
Why gather? Why gather when I'd rather be alone for now? My solace sought from inner grace, putting on my stoic face, looking out from inward space, new horizons take past's place. Acceptance and maturity distance the indignities of desire, those desires that made life dance, now a slower step. Yet desires still remain, though time does tame, and nothing will be the same. The fallacies of memory elicit sweet fiction. even happy to be sad. The inventory of the heart having been taken, and time to reflect alone, the time to gather will come yet again.
Kirsten Morgan was not able to be here today, and we are missing another poet too for health reasons. So Kirsten's poem is called Eclipsed. The way people stood there side by side, watching that ball of dark roll over the sky and crash into the sun. The way they just stood there, struck numb. How some then cried out in wonder while others just cried. The way we might when life leaves the world behind and only wordless things remain. They knew all about the moon and the sun holding the same place in space, all about the when and where, but still didn't really know the why. Until they, one by one, remembered other times when dark had rolled across their beams. How it took the shine and left behind a dim and lonely cast. How the sun stayed firm in the sky, though luster faded and blossoms closed. How chilled they had felt, believing light might never return, until a slice peeked out to slowly warm their cheeks again.
So Linda Goldman couldn't be here today, so I'm going to read her poem, Selkie. Her large dark eyes scan the shoreline, spotting a figure lying near the water. Cautiously, she swims toward him. He lifts his head and pleads, "Help me." Because this is the 7th day of the 7th month, she can do this. She sheds her seal skin. Her flippers become arms and legs. Her face rounds, softens, and transforms itself. No longer a seal, now an upright walking creature. Before she leaves the water, she hides her sealskin, wedging it between 3 boulders. She raises the man from the shore, and they walk tentatively toward the village to find shelter. With help of a local fisherman, the man slowly heals. Quiet and shy, she stays by his side, sharing stories about their lives from both above and below the steel-gray waves and churning foam. Days become weeks, weeks become months. The next year to the day when she first shed her sealskin, she swims out to the 3 boulders. Will she ever wear it again? She knows she will never go back to her beloved sea. Through a mist, she remembers the joy of diving deep below the surface in swift pursuit of silvery schools of fish. Her love for the man who brings her seashells and sunflowers roots her in this foreign soil. One day he fails to come home. His boat is found later, beached near the shore where she first saw him. The next day, his lifeless body is brought ashore by the same waters which took his life. Her keening as she cradles him attract the seal folk. They watch as she wails into bitter winds. The land now holds no reason to stay. She waits again for the 7th day of the 7th month to return to the sea, to don her sealskin and become what she once was, a selkie. She swims to the boulders, searching among the barnacles and seaweed, and finds nothing. Daughter of both land and sea, but at home in neither, her cries can be heard every year on the 7th day of the 7th month, and along the shore the seal folk listen.
Good morning. There is a title change here This poem is called Molting. At the liminal edge I stand, allowing the unspoken and unknown direction to seep into my veins. Gently, the transitional pulse with persuasive inspiration whispers, discard the names the world has given you. In this place where reluctance stands next to readiness, my wounded warrior stands ready to resist. As old thoughts and habits molt, whispers keep me from letting the new skin touch the back of the old, worn-out chair. Blossoms of something deep inside, this soul pilgrimage quiets my ego. I dwell quickly in this place where the universe is pivoting.
Good morning. It's so unusual to see you from this side of the chancel. Please join me as we read aloud our 8th principle together. We, the members and friends of Jefferson Unitarian Church, covenant to affirm and promote, journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community, by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in our institutions. Each week as we enter the sanctuary, some weeks in particular, we place our joys and sorrows in that bowl in the back, filled with a little bit of water. That water meant to bring all of our joys and sorrows together collectively, because we are that. We are here together. So as our spiritual companion for this service, Judy Dennison brings forward that bowl of stones. I want to especially lift up the Keedy family and Lorna Heath, both of whom are seeking health for themselves and their family right now. And I want to invite us all to take a few more breaths, because this week is hard. This week is not easy. Thank you. I want to affirm one particular thing. We are not meant to see this. Human beings are not meant to have to see this. Those of you that have watched the videos of what transpired this week, allow yourself to feel grief and allow that to flow through your body, but allow it to leave sometimes too. We are not built for this. Our nervous systems are not meant to log in and watch someone lose their life. So before I enter us into this space of prayer, I'm going to step back and I want us to take some breaths and really breathe in the peace that this room, this sanctuary offers you, because this is not a time that human beings are meant to thrive in. And it's okay to allow yourself a moment of calm. So let's breathe together. I'm sad to offer this prayer again. I read this to the choir a few weeks ago when we experienced this same thing just a few weeks ago. As I read through this, do what you need for your body. And in the coming days, do what you need for your body, okay? Spirit of life and love, source of every breath, we hold in our hearts all who have been harmed by the machinery of the state, by policies enforced without mercy, by systems that confuse legality with justice, by power that forgets the humanity it governs. We name with clarity and grief those targeted by immigration enforcement, families torn apart in the name of order, workers disappeared into detention, children taught far too early what fear feels like in the body, lives stolen by those with no mercy for the value of what has been taken. We affirm what our faith teaches us to know as truth, that no human being is illegal, that worth and dignity are inherent, and that borders are human inventions, not moral absolutes. May we remember that we are bound together in an inescapable network of mutuality. When one community is terrorized, the whole fabric of our common life is weakened. When cruelty is normalized, it deforms not only the victim, but the soul of the nation that permits it. We grieve the violence that wears the mask of bureaucracy, that arrives in uniforms and forms and quiet early morning knocks. We lament the ways fear has been weaponized, and obedience is demanded over conscience. And yet, beloved Spirit of life and beloved friends, we do not stop at grief. Stir in us the courage to choose love as a public practice. May our compassion become resistance. May our sorrow sharpen into moral clarity. May we be moved not just to feel, but to act, to protect the vulnerable with our privilege, to accompany the targeted, to disrupt systems that depend wholly on our silence and compliance. Let us become sanctuaries in our congregations, in our homes, in our laws, and in our daily choices. Hold close those living in fear today. Strengthen those organizing, advocating, and bearing witness. Transform those who wield power without accountability. And remind us again and again and again that justice is what love looks like when it shows up in the world. Amen. Blessed be.
Good morning. My name is Martha Eastman. When I was growing up in the 1960s, my parents used to get 2 newspapers each day, one in the morning and another in the late afternoon. I was young enough that I didn't know anything about family finances, but I do remember when my parents decided to cancel the afternoon paper and redirect that money toward their pledge to the church. In addition to their message of generosity, it was probably also my first lesson in financial management. At the end of last year, when JUC announced that a donor had pledged to match up to $10,000 in contributions, Mark and I wanted to donate, but it was something we hadn't planned on. Then one day, I put on a jacket I hadn't worn for a while and found some cash that I had gotten from teaching yoga. At about the same time, we realized that our change jar was overflowing, so we put my unexpected cash in with $50 worth of change and made a last-minute donation. At a time when so much in life seems out of our control, it made us feel good to contribute to that generous cause. Generosity is a broad concept which manifests in many ways, the time, talent, and treasure that we talk about at JUC. It comes in the form of my family's financial pledge, which helps pay the staff and keep the lights on. Generosity also includes the time I give by volunteering in the church office once a week. And of course, the time and talent that I've contributed over 22 years as a member of the choir. I believe that the common thread between all true acts of generosity is that both the giver and the receiver benefit. Ask any member of the choir, and they will tell you that it feels like free therapy. We all contribute our time and talent to a collective effort that enhances the Sunday service and brings joy to listeners. The times when we may want to stay home hiding under a blanket are precisely the times when offering a simple act of generosity can lift us out of the gloom, such as saying yes when Wendy asked me to talk about generosity today. On the morning after the murder of Renee Good in Minneapolis by ICE, I found myself feeling desperate and wondering how I could keep moving forward. And tragically, I felt the same way yesterday after hearing about the murder of Alex Preddy. Then I recalled one of my mother's admonitions: nothing makes you feel better than doing something to help someone else. Namaste.
Friends, we really do make a ritual of our generosity and our gratitude. And so thank you, Martha, again for saying yes. Thank you for all the ways that you do give to our church. And that goes for all of us. I always take some time to just say thank you to some folks who've made a difference recently. So today I will add my notes of thanks to those of you who have been participating in the power of our name. Those of you who will stay for that session today, those of you who will show up next week, it really does matter. And thank you to all of you for what ends up in the baskets and ends up in pledge and ends up in year-end generosity to pay the gift of this place forward so that when we do wake up desperate, despondent, despairing with the news, we have a place to go. And we have people to gather with for whom we do not need to translate our grief. You make a difference. Our morning offering will now be gratefully accepted because you will be receiving something quite generous.
This is a toggle poem, which is a form in which you switch between contrasting ideas. And Jim has volunteered nicely to take Valerie's place for this. Thank you, Jim. Okay, an ongoing struggle. Peace lay back in her lounge chair, languishing on the sunny porch, content in the warm glow surrounding her.
The planned explosion pleased War. A consummate lover of discord, he now observed with enthusiasm an army's IED detonations, killing and maiming masses of unsuspecting soldiers.
Calm voices and laughter were heard down the street as peace basked in the presence of amity that prevailed in the friendly town.
Fed by fear, anger, and hatred, the attacks continued, also inflicting widespread death and pain upon innocent civilians caught in the crossfire.
Practicing the give and take of camaraderie created a safe and pleasurable atmosphere, one peace ever strongly desired to nurture.
Tiring of the destruction, blood and exhausting efforts, war's rampage eventually faltered and fizzled, offering an opening for peace to visit.
She gradually accepted, seizing the opportunity for truce talks, calm discussion, and negotiation, driving towards compromises and a more permanent ceasefire.
When the dust and ashes settled, the combatants stood silent in awe of the hushed tranquility of armistice, the absence of fear, and the welcome taste of trust.
Peace and war stood side by side in quiet assessment, savoring the amiable pause, weighing its outcome, both very aware of its fragile and temporary nature. Thank you, Tim.
I wrote this poem at what was a pretty awful time. My sister and a good friend died within 2 months of each other. COVID set in. There were fires on the continent, ashes in the air, and it was just too much. So I realized that sometimes what needs to be transformed is reality. Once upon a time, one day on impulse, I turn right. Instead of walking to the next street, the route that I always walk in this neighborhood. Near the end of the block, I see some tall evergreens and naked winter bark trees. I feel as if I'm walking into a fairy tale. A small cottage sits in the woods. The dark, long-needled pines around it, with tall, leafless trees, give the woodsy yard a magical aura. The stucco cottage behind a small courtyard, unique among its suburban neighbors, charms me with its symmetry and unadorned simplicity. I catch myself walking past my path home, turn around, pause to get my bearings, and walk the short distance to another world, my street. But I'm drawn back to that corner and finish the next day's walk by once again heading to the imaginary woods and quirky little house. The clouds blow past and sun lights the little courtyard. I see myself sitting there on a warm evening, sipping a glass of white wine, reading a cozy mystery, nodding to neighbors who stroll by on after-dinner walks. The late afternoon rays strike the dark antique door. Its beveled glass window panes sparkle at me. So I walk inside, turn on the table lamp, curl up in my leather chair, and phone my sister, once upon a time.
About a year ago, a transformation occurred in our country, and I learned that some people thought that empathy was a weakness. A tale of change. Empathy sat sadly, suffering in pain, staring at the hating tree growing down her lane. Years ago, she'd planted a seedling tree of love that grew to bear the tasty fruit of giving, hope, resolved. How she loved its presence, lounging neath its boughs, lulled by lovely lullabies, sung by bees aloud. But winds of change had come last fall, had blown her tree away, transforming all that mattered, ushering in decay. Greed had ruled the world since then. Selfishness and fear, common decency had fled. Cruelty injured care. Brutal transformation. Its blast sent by fate that day warped that wholesome concept. Fear had found its way. Awakened by the turmoil, pausing in her pain, she found justice had survived. No one had been slain. Bringing justice with her, equality and peace, with resolve she ushered on and would tame the beast. Gathering at the hating tree, they trimmed limbs of fear, grafting on unselfishness, nurtured it with their tears. Gentle transformation, different from the past, wove its thread throughout the world. Life returned at last. Then empathy sat proudly, ruling from her throne. Greed had lost their hold on them. Sympathy reborn.
Since so many of us are feeling sad by what's going on in the world today, I want to cheer you up. This is called chilling out. My ancestors were very primitive, I'm embarrassed to admit. Old Uncle Philco only made ice in aluminum trays that needed to be filled at the faucet and opened with a lever that froze fingers and cracked the ice. Daring old Aunt Amana sported an amazing V-shaped handle. Right in the center of her door, it would open left or right, depending on which direction you chose to pull it. No matter which way that door opened, the user still had to fill ice trays and wait for the freezing. Worst of all, my 4 fridges often had to be defrosted. Frizzy ice would build up, forming a white blockade that would have daunted Admiral Perry and crew. Sloppy pans of hot water on the shelves hastened the meltdown, and tons of towels or old newspaper sopped up the soggy mess on the kitchen floor. But my current brethren are models of fine efficiency. We make instant ice. We make instant ice for you. We ding if the door is left open. We dispense filtered water. We offer cubed or crushed ice. We come in custom colors. We never need defrosting. We hum quietly. We be cool.
The context for a poem can take many different forms. This one is both personal and imaginative. Turning toward home. In quiet preparation, I turn away, withdraw from these tender human connections, which late in this lifetime, unexpectedly, have become the why and the wherefore. All those years outlasting the dogged tug from lovers and friends who labored long to draw me into a deeper union. How we form ourselves through such defiance. Until hands and arms and eyes, those penetrating eyes, become one harmonious melody of remembrance, those soft embraces, kind, encouraging words. Why did I resist so? And now, on the brink of this deep mystery, each farewell a bow, each touch a prayer, each gaze a blessing. I lean into gratitude, release the final yearning, and cross unburdened into the silence that waits with open arms.
Transformation speaks. Speak to me, transformation, so I may find words to describe you. Just as a butterfly emerges from its chrysalis, you emerge from sleep each morning, eyes wide open, full of wonder at the blessing of a new day. There is ritual and prayer, exercises and activities, chores and duties, relationships to nurture, challenges to be met, and many choices to be made throughout the day. Trust me, the person who awoke this morning will not be the same person who crawls into bed tonight.